Hello and welcome to another Propagate video with me, Abby, in my polytunnel. So one of the most common questions that I get asked, and have been asked for years from different people on different community gardening projects, is how do I know when it's ready? So this refers to harvesting. We are fully now into harvesting season. We are harvesting salads, we are harvesting tomatoes, we are harvesting chard, we are harvesting beans and beetroot and radishes and all sorts of other things. That's background noise, just ignore it. It is the middle to the end of July right now. I think it's like the 22nd. And yeah, so that is fully harvesting season. So people want to know, like, they grow their vegetables, they watch their vegetables mature into beautiful things, but then quite often they harvest them too late, or they wait until they're thinking they're going to get bigger and bigger, and they don't know how big they're going to get, and then suddenly they've gone dry or they've gone to seed or something like that. So I'm going to do a little tour of some of the vegetables in the polytunnel, but also outside in the market garden, looking at how do we know when it's ready. Here we are with my French beans. These are my amazing Cobra variety of French beans. I'm really happy with them this year. French beans, as you probably know, they're a climbing variety. You get dwarf varieties, these are a climbing variety. So I've given them these lovely hazel sticks, as seen in a previous video, to grow up. Beans mature from the bottom upwards. However, you get some anomalies and you get some that mature a little bit closer to the top. But generally speaking, you start from the bottom and you work your way up the vine. So first thing you need to think of when you're thinking about whether it's ready or not is to know your varieties. So you need to know what variety you planted and at least a written description of what it's meant to look like. So I know, for example, that these are the Cobra, they're Cobra varieties, and they have long, slender pods. So not all beans have long, slender pods, some have much shorter pods, some purple podded, but these have long, slender pods. So you also want to pick them when they are still looking, well, not wrinkly, basically. So if I go down here, maybe the camera person can move with me. We can see at the bottom here that is a pod. It is slender, but it is not long. So that will be a pod that is not quite ready yet. And we go further up, and we've got some that's looking just about right. Whereas the one next to it is possibly a little bit over. I'll pick them both off. So we've got this one, which looks just about right. It's not that straight, but I don't mind about wonky veg. It's not too wrinkly. It's firm to the touch. Yeah, but not too firm. This one has just started to turn, so you can just see the stretch marks on its on the pod, and that's where it's starting to slowly dry out as the seeds inside starts to mature, which would be great. You know, I could leave that hanging and save that one for seed for later on, for next year. It's still okay to eat at the moment though. So beans, they are a tricky one. You want to make sure you get them before they turn, otherwise this kind of bean will start to taste quite dry, and not that fresh kind of juiciness that you want the beans to be. So you can see in the middle there's a sort of cross section of two, that this one is starting to dry out around the inner side of the casing, whereas this one is still really fresh and moist. So that's what you're looking for, that's what you want. So you want to pick them when they're not too small, but also not big and wrinkly. Beans are fast as well. They're really fast. It can literally take a day in between from them going from perfect to starting to go over. But as I say, still really tasty to eat. So, right next to my French beans, I've got this row of Swiss chard. Not entirely sure of the variety because these were from saved seeds from last year. So I saved my own seeds and sowed them this year, and this is the lovely crop of indoor chard. I've got outdoor chard as well that they've turned into. Chard is again It's again, you need to know your variety. That's a good idea of what it's meant to look like when it's ready. Yeah, chard is one of those ones where you can pick almost at any time. And the key question here is, does it look like something I want to eat? So, which is also something you can apply to the French beans as well. If it looks like something that you want to eat, then pick it and eat it. That's always my advice. Chard is a multi-stemmed plant, and it's a cut and come again. So you pick it and it grows back, and it keeps doing that for as long as you look after it, until it's finished its cycle and it naturally wants to go to seed. So you can see here where some of them have been cut already. You can see here where some of them have been cut already, and you can see the new growth growing back in the middle. So we've got some little ones, we've got a tiny, tiny one right there, and then we've got these bigger, glossier ones on the outside. So you should, again, like I said, pick the ones that you want to eat. Some people like to pick the small ones as a sort of salad chard, and some people like to pick the bigger ones to use in stir fries, or in like a chuck in at the end of a tomato sauce, like a spinach, that kind of thing. I tend to keep my thumbnails nice and long, and I use my thumbnails as like a knife. So when I cut them, I put my thumbnail straight through the stem, just a few centimetres from the base. That's perfect for me, because we're having paella later, a vegetable paella, and the chards will go in right at the end, and it'll dissolve in the same way as spinach does. So that's a perfect chard leaf right there. And I'll just take this one here, also nice and big, green, glossy, and as I say, they cut and come again, so they just keep on growing. Okay, let's go and look at something else. So here we are outside. You guys have seen outside before in my last video on intercropping and successional sowing. So these are the beautiful courgettes, interspersed with more outdoor beans. So these are the same age and same varieties as the ones indoors, but they're not producing any beans yet. We're going to focus just now on the courgettes. How do I know when a courgette is ready? Now again, those two golden rules. Does it look like something I want to eat? And do you know what variety it is and what it's meant to look like? So these varieties right here in front of me are called mandibles. Mandibles are a classic long variety. So you can see here's a little tiny one, just starting. There's a couple here that are in their growth stages, and down the bottom here, hopefully you can see, there's one that's looking quite dark green, and that's really, for mandibles, that's the colour that I'm looking for, is this dark green kind of look. Picking courgettes, you might want to just use a knife and cut through the stalk a little tiny bit, or you can give it a twist and pull. Twist and pull. So that's quite a small courgette, but it's already gone dark green, and I suspect it won't really want to get much bigger than that. So that's going to be a perfect courgette to go in the veg boxes this week, because the customers tend to like them quite small. Okay, now we're going to have a look at something else. Okay, here I am with the first crop of beetroot of the season. So we've been harvesting the beetroots for a few weeks now, and they've been going in the veg boxes on the hidden veg shop. But how do you know when a beetroot is ready? You see all these leaves coming out of the top, and you imagine that somewhere underneath there's this root that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but you can't see it most of the time, so it's pure guesswork, or is it? So how do I know when it's ready? Well, what I do with beetroots is I get my fingers in and have a little feel about. So if you get your thumb and first finger, and go in the soil and poke around, you can feel, generally speaking, the girths of the beetroot. So you can feel you're looking for that nice hard lump, and you want to know just how thick it is. And if you've got a fairly wide top, then you can pretty much guarantee the rest of the beetroot is going to be a reasonable size. So these two, and you can see this one, you can also push some of the soil away just to have a look and get an idea of how big the beetroot are. So these two, they're not big enough. Let's tuck them back in again. These ones, definitely not big enough. They're very small leaves. Whereas this one Yeah, I'm feeling the girth there. It's nice and it's quite big. It's still a baby beetroot sort of size, but it's going to be big enough for harvesting and quite nice to eat because baby beets are quite good. So to harvest it, you want to grip that root nice and firmly at the top and twist and pull at the same time. Okay, there we go. I'm going to break the root, the end roots off. And there we go. One lovely size beetroot. That's really nice size because you know they get a bit bigger and they get a bit woodier. So nice baby beets are good and they're fresh and they're sweet and great. They're brilliant to grate them in as like a coleslaw with turnips and carrots. It's my favourite kind of summer sort of coleslaw salad to make. So what to watch out for with beetroots is to watch them bolting or going to seed. So if you detect that in the middle of your beetroot you've got a hard stalk forming, then you need to pull it out as quickly as possible before it gets too woody to eat. And with that hard stalk will come right up, and that'll be the flowering stalk of the beetroot going to seed, which at this time of year they should not be doing. They don't normally go to seed until next year, so they'd only really be doing that if they were having difficulties. That's when they would be going to seed. So they're going to seed because they're trying to reproduce because they're not happy. So you need to make sure that they're well fed, well watered, well nourished, and you will have a successful crop of beetroots. Okay, and there is one more thing I want to show you. Okay, so the last crop I want to talk to you about is radishes. Radishes are a brilliant thing to grow because they're really fast. You sow them, within days you've got the seeds and the leaves popping up, and within just 4 weeks they can be ready, sometimes less than that. And I've got a really fast growing variety here, and again you want to know, there's lots of different varieties, so you want to know what it's meant to look like when it's ready, and how big is it meant to get, and does it look like something that you want to eat. So keeping those 2 golden rules in mind. Now, classic mistake with radishes is that people want them to get bigger. Most radishes really should be harvested when they're quite small, but not too small. And again, just like the beans, there's a matter of days sometimes in between perfect and starting to go to seed. So first of all, I'm going to show you one that has been left too long and has started to go to seed. Okay, so this variety I've got here are cherry bells. And cherry bells, the name would imply, is meant to be quite small. This one has been lurking in amongst the beans and it's got bigger and bigger. I'm just going to pull it out. Oh my gosh, look at the size of that radish. And you might think, whoa, what an amazing big radish. Look at its curvy heart-shaped bum thing going on. But no, look, this is where the radish is starting to go to seed. It's putting up, just like the beetroot, can do and will do, this hard central stem which will eventually have the flowers on top, which will carry the seeds. This one's not doing it because it's unhappy. This radish is doing it because it's finished its growing cycle. I've left it too long in the ground. So this cannot be sold. I can't put this in the veg boxes because it's too big and it'll start to be woody in the middle. However, I can put it in stir fry, so we'll use this in the house. So growing right next to that is some radishes that are ready. So I'm just going to harvest one of these. You can see actually what the cherry bells are meant to look like. So they're meant to be quite small, quite round, not going to seed in the middle. They're fairly uniform, as you can see. They're all about the same sort of size. Yeah. So any bigger than that, and my cherry bells are going to be starting to go to seed, and I would have left them too late. So see the difference? Too big, just right. And again with radishes, you can tell that by clearing away some of the soil from around the top of the plant, and looking at the size on the top where the leaves are coming out. They also won't produce, this variety at least, won't produce a huge amount of leaf before they're definitely ready to pull. Yeah, radishes great in a salad, great in a stir fry. Something I like to do with them is slicing them up and putting them in with a little bit of cider vinegar and salt, and then the tops you can make a great pesto out of. Okay, that's just about it from me this time. There's plenty more that I can show you later on when we've got other crops that are starting to be ready, and maybe we'll do an update on how do I know when it's ready. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed what you're seeing, don't forget to give us a like and share on Facebook. Give us a like and comments in the videos, in the comments below. And don't forget to click on our donate button and chuck us some money via PayPal. Thanks very much, and see you next time.